Good evening, one and all. I, Madhumita Elangovan, member of Marketing Department, would like to welcome all of you all to this webinar on the behalf of ESEL. A warm welcome to our faculty members, Professor Lubina Gonsalves, Professor Anuja Narvankar, and Professor Anupama Bali, and our principal, Dr. Vijeta Shetty. Last but not the least, I would like to welcome our speaker for today, Mr. Omkar Pandharkame. Thank you for joining us, sir. This webinar is organized by the ESEL for students to learn more about workshop on entrepreneurship and innovation as career opportunity. Many of you might have many questions related to entrepreneurship and innovation. So without wasting any time, let's dive right into the topic. Now, I would request Namrata to please take over.
Thank you, Madhumita. So the speaker of today's session is an amazing entrepreneur, Mr. Omkar Pandharkame. He is the CEO of Beehive, which is a future of work SaaS platform. He co-founded a startup along with his two childhood friends. He recognized a fast-changing business dynamics and developed a service that is must for work from home scenario. He has raised multi-million dollars in venture funding for this startup, trained over 15,000 students, and has taught at 35 plus colleges and universities. Professor Omkar is an organizational psychologist and continues his research in the workplace learning. So let's listen to him and learn from his strategies. Thank you. Now I will ask Mezzabin to take over.
Thank you, Namrata. With the permission of our dignitaries, I would request Omkar to start the session.
Yeah, you can start now. Over to you, sir.
Okay, hi everybody. Good evening. It takes a lot of motivation to attend a session on a Saturday evening. It took a lot of motivation for me to also take this session on a Saturday evening. So I believe everybody is very, very motivated for this session, right? So, I just want to see everybody and then you can switch off the camera. So at least I know that there are faces behind these names. So can I request everybody to switch on their camera so that at least I can see that there are real faces. Thank you so much, Sriya. Thank you so much, Mehbeen. Adarsh, lovely, Kevin, Chetrali, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anuja, Satish, Alia, Lupina, Ravina. Great, lovely. Yeah, Uttam, thank you so much. Harsh, Shriya, thank you so much, Vedant. Yeah, can I have the rest of you guys also show your pretty faces? Sabah, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, all right. I want to make this session extremely comfortable for you guys. So if you believe that you're more comfortable putting off your phone, keeping it on your chest and lying down and listening to me, it is still fine. I assure you that, I'm not going to put you to sleep. So whatever you're comfortable with, you can keep your camera on, you can keep your cameras off. I will keep my cameras on. Otherwise, if I keep my camera off, then I will be very tempted to eat something while taking the session. So you get me, make sure that, I'm with you. Okay. All right, guys. Good evening to everybody. My name is Omkar. I teach at the Atlas Skill Tech University. I'm the professor for entrepreneurship. Now, if a professor of entrepreneurship, if he's not an entrepreneur, then the whole thing is a scam, right? So I am the CEO of a lovely startup called Beehive. The team is pretty big. The team is about 60 people. It's gone pretty big. We've raised multi-million dollars in funding. So whenever somebody thinks of startups, just thinks of funding. So we've been there, done that. The whole objective of starting an entrepreneurial venture was, for everybody, it is more or less the same reason. And that same reason is that I did not want to have a boss. The theme of this session is essentially, why should we start looking at entrepreneurship as a career option? Right? And I want to ask you, and let's keep this very interactive. Either you can reply to me in chat, or you can unmute yourself and reply me. Can somebody tell me, is the Pani Puri wala who sells Pani Puri niche, is that person an entrepreneur or not? Is he an entrepreneur or not? The guy who sells Pani Puri niche, is he an entrepreneur or no? You can use the chat also to reply to me. Pani Puri. Okay, Majbeen says yes, yes. Okay, I see a few answers coming in. Yes. Okay. All right, most of you get. And then Vijay Shekhar Sharma, who runs Paytm, right? Is he also an entrepreneur? Yes, the answer is yes. So what's the fundamental difference between a person selling you Paytm versus a person selling you Pani Puri? Right? What's the difference between somebody selling you Pani Puri and somebody selling you Paytm? What is the difference? I'm asking you a question. When somebody says you want to be an entrepreneur, do you want to be Vijay Shekhar Sharma or do you want to be the Pani Puri guy who sells Pani Puri downstairs? No problem in being the Pani Puri guy also, right? You'll make more girls will come to you rather than rather than Vijay Shekhar Sharma. Right? So, what is the fundamental difference between the Pani Puri guy downstairs and Vijay Shekhar Sharma? Can somebody type the answers in?
I think the Pani Puri guy sells you the product and Vijay Sharma sells you the service.
Okay, so he sells you a product and Vijay Shekhar Sharma sells you a service. I like the first part of the answer. I'm going to take the first part of the answer. Okay, the first part of the answer was that Pani Puri wala guy sells you the Pani Puri. Now, how many times in our life, Sabha, how many times in your life you've had Pani Puri approximately? A lot of times. Let's see a few answers in private chat. Okay, a lot of times. Fair enough. That's a great answer. Now, what happens as a difference between a Pani Puri guy and a Vijay Sharma is predominantly that the Pani Puri guy is selling you something which is already there, right? If you go from Le Parle, where I stay, if you go to Kandivali, you will find the same Pani Puri. If you go to Bandra, you'll find the same Pani Puri but more expensive. If you go to South Bombay, you'll find the same Pani Puri. So when a Pani Puri guy is trying to do business, he's mostly trying to fill in a demand and a supply gap. But when Vijay Shekhar Sharma is doing business, what he's trying to do is that he is trying to elevate or he's trying to create something new. That is why Vijay Shekhar Sharma can become successful and the Pani Puri guy cannot be successful. Just understand one thing, people. There is a fundamental difference between a businessman and an entrepreneur, according to me. A businessman is somebody who tries to reduce the supply and the demand gap. An entrepreneur is somebody who brings something innovative to the world. Before 2012, 2013, when actually Paytm started, nobody even knew about Paytm, right? But then it started gaining popularity, it started getting bigger and better. But Pani Puri guy, same guy selling it in 2002 versus selling it in 2022 next year, it won't be so different. So entrepreneur actually makes, yes, perfect. I really like that answer, Harsh. Right? Now, whenever we are looking at entrepreneurship, we are looking at creating something innovative. So let me just share a quick presentation. Yeah. So let me share this quick presentation. Now, can somebody tell me what is the difference between these two lines? Building the right product versus building the product right. I'm telling you from the eyes of an entrepreneur. ये दो lines का difference क्या है? Building the right product versus building the product right. Can somebody tell me? What do you think might be the difference?
So maybe building the right product is making a new product, and building the product right means something adding on some in the product.
Correct. So building the right product means that I'm building something which the customers want. Building the product right means I'm building something which is going to get better, but I'm not sure whether people really want it or not. Now let's understand why Vijay Shekhar Sharma versus Pani Puri example I gave you. Whenever you see a new complex, एक बड़ा सा housing complex अगर किधर आ गया, तो नीचे क्या पहले चालू होता है? दूध वाला का चालू होता है. Oh, he is also a businessman. आपको एक नाई का दुकान दिखेगा. I'm not going to a नाई का दुकान in the longest time, but you'll see a barber shop, you'll see groceries, you will see laundry, you will see buyers coming in and out, right? All these small businesses start popping up once a housing complex gets created, right? आपने सबने देखा है, right? एक नया housing complex के आजू बाजू में कैसे छोटे छोटे ये चालू होते हैं. Now why has that happened? Predominantly because people have seen कि बॉस इधर तो demand है पर इधर supply नहीं है. There's a demand for people who will start staying over here. They will require somebody to laundry, they will require groceries, they will require a supermarket, right? So when somebody sees a demand and a supply gap, that is the time where he or she, like when that is the time when people can start coming and giving how do you say? That is the time where people can come and start setting up shops. Now, all these people are not doing anything creative or innovative. उन्होंने सिर्फ एक opportunity देखा और दुकान डाल दी. But on the other hand, okay, I am one of those people that we start building innovative products what people have never seen before, products what people have never experienced before, applications what people have never seen before. And it becomes very difficult to actually build it because of people not seeing it before. So you don't know that whether there's a demand for it or not. Everybody understanding? Now, when you are in that situation where you are planning to build something innovative, it's very difficult because the customers don't give you feedback because they have never seen anything like it. And you don't even know what is the starting point of that business, right? Do you really want to build that up? Do you want to really do that? You really don't know. Right? Now, what happens is that you start getting confused. Do you want to build a product to perfection or do you want to build a product what the customer needs? And that is the difference between these two statements, building the right product versus building the product right. Building the right product means I'm planning to build something innovative, which can help solve the challenges or problems of the customer. Building the product right typically talks about how can I start building a product which nobody wants, but I will make it to perfection. The first part is better than the second part. Build products what people want, innovative products what people want, rather than building inventions which nobody wants. There are a lot of useless inventions in the world, right? आपने देखा होगा बहुत सारे time ये सब आता है कि there are a lot of useless inventions in the world. Why are they useless inventions and not innovations? Because innovation adds value to life. Inventions can be useless. Inventions, if they don't add value to life, they don't become innovations. Everybody understanding so far? Can I have a thumbs up on the screen if you are understanding what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So let me come back to. Yeah, perfect. So let me come back to a very simple argument, okay? In order to start a startup, okay, what do you need? What do you need in order to start a startup? Tell me, guys. You can use your chat. Tell me, in order to start a startup, what do you need? Funds. Okay, Kevin says funds. What else do you need? What else do you need? You need funds. What else? Business idea, innovative ideas. Okay. What else do you need? Tell me. Come on. Rest of you guys. और क्या लगता है? A group of people with same mindset. Harsh, I really like that answer. That is true. Okay. Anything else I'm missing out on? Strategy. Okay. Thank you so much, Kushal. You need strategy. Anything else you need? Anything else you need? Okay, great. Now, I have one problem with Madiha's answer about business idea, or even Alia's answer about innovative ideas. Typically, what you really need is not an idea, but a problem. in order to start. Because क्या होता है पता है? When you get ideas, startups are like falling in love with a entrepreneurial idea, right? Sorry, startups are like falling in love. Instead of a woman, you start falling in love with your idea. And this is when you start falling in love with your idea. आपको सब जगह ना आपकी idea दिखाई देती है. Every problem what you're thinking, you think that your idea will end up solving it, right? Everybody has had an idea so far, right? कभी ना कभी तो life में एक business idea आया ही होगा. And that is the time you end up thinking that अरे मेरा idea इसका भी problem solve कर सकता है. To start a entrepreneurial idea on the basis of what you have thought about ideas. But it is more important to start an entrepreneurial venture on the basis of a problem. One thing, if you want to be an entrepreneur in the near future, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are wanting to be, the easiest starting point of that is to look at a business problem. To look at a problem what people are facing and which is not solved as yet. पानी पूरी, लॉन्ड्री, बार्बर शॉप जो भी है वो अभी वैलिडेटेड बिजनेस मॉडल्स है. अगर आप शाम को जाके पानी पूरी का ठेला चालू करोगे, लोग आएंगे क्योंकि उनको पता है पानी पूरी क्या होती है और उनको टेस्ट उनको पता है. But if you start selling, if you are the first person who was selling pani puri in the world, imagine the challenge what you might have had. Imagine the first pani puri seller in the world. Because he was thinking of something innovative. Nobody had done water, spicy water, sweet water in the pani puri, right? In the puri. And that became innovative. And then once it started, a lot of people started using that, eating that, and then it started becoming mainstream. Now you have to find out what pani puri you want to create. You want to start finding out what is that new idea you want to start working on. But here's the problem of working with new ideas. Everybody will end up clapping, right? श्रिया को एक आइडिया आया या विनीत को एक आइडिया आया. नेक्स्ट क्या होता है पता है? One second. Yeah. अगर श्रिया को आइडिया आता है तो उसका पहले, या विनीत को आइडिया आता है तो पहला जाता है उसका फोन कॉल अपने दोस्त को. विनीत अपने दोस्त को पूरा आइडिया बताया था कि ब्रो लिसन, आई वांट टू डू दिस, आई वांट टू डू दैट, आई एम प्लानिंग टू बिल्ड एन एप्लीकेशन व्हिच विल डू व्हाटएवर ABC XYZ. And after that, after you end up talking about that this is what your startup will end up doing, what happens finally? Your other friend ends up saying, bro, it's a great idea, I love your idea. मम्मी डैडी सब बोलते हैं कि बेटा तेरा आइडिया तोड़ है, तेरा आइडिया फाड़ू है, राइट? मम्मी को सब पूरा का पूरा बाउंसर जाता है, फिर भी मम्मी बोलती है कि अरे तेरे को जो करना है कर, तू ही मेरा स्टीव जॉब्स है. So what happens is Vineet on his phone ends up saying कि अरे ब्रो तो सुन ना, मैं 3 महीना इसके ऊपर काम करूंगा, 3 महीना इसके ऊपर काम करने के बाद मैं तेरे पास आऊंगा और वो प्रोडक्ट दिखाऊंगा, तू मेरे से खरीदेगा ना? You know what Vineet's friend ends up saying? This thing, भाई तेरे लिए कुछ भी. Correct? Because people over here will buy what you're building because you are their friend, because you look sweet, or because they want to encourage you. They are not going to buy your product because they really need it. And as much as you might think that they are your real supporters, they are your real helpers, you will realize that they are not helping you. They're actually bullshitting with you. What you need is customer. What you need is people who are buying out of a problem. Problem ये नहीं है कि आपको बनाने में कोई तकलीफ होनी चाहिए. प्रॉब्लम ये है कि आपका प्रोडक्ट जब आपके दोस्त लोग लोगे ना, वो यारी दोस्ती में लेंगे. वो इसके लिए नहीं लेंगे कि आपका प्रोडक्ट उनके लिए काम आता है. हम लोग वो ही चीजें लेते हैं जो हमारे काम में आते हैं. देखो सब जगह आजू बाजू में देखो, जो भी लिया है वो काम के लिए लिया. Now whenever you are trying to build a product, now whenever you are trying to scale a product, ask yourself a question, that will people buy this because they're solving their problem with it? Right from a Cadbury Dairy Milk to a chashma to a shirt to an AC, everything has been bought because they were fulfilling a problem. So if you want to start an entrepreneurial venture, look around. चश्मा पहनो, आजू बाजू में देखो और एक क्वेश्चन पूछो कि भाई मैं कुछ प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर सकता हूँ क्या? ऐसा प्रॉब्लम जो अभी तक सॉल्व नहीं हुआ है, या ऐसा प्रॉब्लम जो अभी भी सॉल्व हुआ है पर लोगों को ज्यादा पसंद नहीं आ रहा है, लोगों को अभी भी उसमें तकलीफ है। मैं जो सॉफ्टवेयर बनाता हूँ करोड़ों में बिकता है, राइट? इट्स अ वेरी सिंपल सॉफ्टवेयर बट वी सेल इट इन crores. Why? Because we know that we are solving somebody's problem. We know that we are helping somebody make their lives better. And this is exactly the foundation of any entrepreneurial venture. Find a problem, see whether that problem has not been solved, and then fir lage raho. The idea is ki boss, you have to fall in love with the problem, not with the solution. Solution बदलते जाएगा. जितना आप कस्टमर्स ज्यादा फीडबैक देते जाओगे उतना आपका प्रॉब्लम या आइडिया या सोल्यूशन बदलते जाएगा. आइडिया ये है कि बॉस, प्रॉब्लम कभी हाथ से छूटना नहीं चाहिए. प्रॉब्लम के पीछे भागते रहो. कभी प्रॉब्लम फुल्ली सॉल्व नहीं होता. अनअकैडमी देखो, यूडेमी देखो, या कौन सा भी कॉर्सेरा देखो, प्रॉब्लम अभी तक सॉल्व करते ही जा रहे हैं. पैसा बना रहे हैं पर फिर भी अभी तक प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करते जा रहे हैं, बिकॉज प्रॉब्लम इटसेल्फ इज अ वेरी डायनामिक थिंग. Understand, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to get ideas and throw them out of your window. What you really need is insights. If you have insights, you don't need ideas. But पहला ये समझो कि ये insights होता है क्या. अगर entrepreneur बनना है तो insights की खोज में रहो. Insights is what people tell you, ideas is what you think. I'll repeat. Insights is what people tell you, ideas is what you think. आपके खुद के सोचने से बहुत कम चीजें आ सकती है, पर लोगों का दर्द सुनने से बहुत ज्यादा चीजें आ सकती है. लोगों का दर्द मतलब आपके इनसाइट्स. ये मेरे को हील नहीं मिल रही, या मेरे ड्रेस को पॉकेट्स नहीं है, या इधर का इंटरनेट कनेक्शन वीक है, या मेरा फोन का स्क्रीन हमेशा टूट जाता है, या मेरे को हमेशा मेरे फेवरेट यूट्यूबर्स का वीडियो ऑन डिमांड नहीं, जो भी है. The more conversations you have, you will start creating insights. जितना ज्यादा प्रोब करोगे अपने कंसल्टेटिव सेल्स में, सेल्समैन हो बॉस, एंटरप्रेन्योर, प्रोफेसर, सब दूसरा तीसरा हो. फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट आई एम अ सेल्समैन. And as a rule of a salesman, all you have to do is probe. P-R-O-B-E. Probe. Probe मतलब मराठी में हम लोग बोलते हैं चौकशा. हिंदी का शब्द मेरे को पता नहीं, पर मराठी में बोलते हैं चौकशा. कि क्यों हो रहा है ये, क्या हो रहा है ये, आप क्या कर रहे हो फिलहाल, अगर ये सॉल्व हुआ तो आपका कितना पैसा बचेगा. दिस इज कॉल्ड प्रोबिंग. The more insights you get from probing, the stronger you have an idea of the problem. The stronger you have an idea of the problem, the better solution you will be able to build. नहीं तो क्या होगा, सुबह सुबह नहाते टाइम गाते टाइम आइडिया आएगी, दोस्त को फोन करेगा और दोस्त बोलेगा भाई तेरे लिए कुछ भी कर. We don't want such startups. We don't want such ideas. What we want is insights. लोग क्या कहें, and it's very important. I want to show you a small video. That video is going to take about 2 to 2.5 minutes. In that video, it is called the mom test. Mom test क्या होता है कि मम्मी तो हमेशा प्यारी चीज है. मम्मी तो हमेशा बोलेगी हाँ बेटा आपका स्टार्टअप आइडिया तो बहुत अच्छा है, you're excellent at it. But if we are able to also get business insights from mom, then you know that your mom test has been successful. एक ये छोटा वीडियो दिखाना चाहूंगा आप सबको. In that video, what you will end up seeing is essentially, very simply, one little daughter is trying to make a mobile app. एक मोबाइल का ऐप बनाना चाहती है वो, which talks about recipes. ठीक है, पर ये वीडियो दो पार्ट में मैंने डिवाइड किए. एक पार्ट में कैसे गलत तरीके से वो पूछ रही है, और दूसरे कि what is the right way to do it. I'm just gonna pause over here and ask everybody to put something on the screen, a thumbs up or any kind of a emoticon on the screen, so that I can know that you guys are listening. सिर्फ 2 लोग सुन रहे हैं क्या? Okay, सिर्फ 10 लोग सुन रहे हैं. What about the rest? Can I get some response on the chat? Thank you. Okay, let me show you that video. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Can you see? Okay, great.
We're told, don't ask your mum if your business idea is a good one. She'll just say yes. Because she loves you, of course. The mum test is a set of simple rules for crafting good questions that even your mum can't lie to you about. Let's have 2 conversations and see what we can learn. Mum, I've got a business idea. Can I tell you about it? Of course, dear. You like your iPad, right? Do you use it a lot? Yes. OK. So would you ever buy an app which was like a cookbook for your iPad? And it only cost £20. That's cheaper than your hardbacks on the shelf. Well, and you can share recipes with your friends. And there's an iPhone app which is your shopping list. And videos of that celebrity chef you love. Yes, dear. That sounds amazing. £20 is fine. Will it have pictures of the recipes? Yes, definitely. Thanks, Mum. I'm going to quit my job and put all my savings into my new startup. Won't you have some lasagna? That conversation led us down the garden path. The mum test is about talking to your customers about their life, not your idea. It's about discussing specifics in the past instead of generics or opinions about the future. It's about talking less and listening more. Let's do it again right this time. Hey, Mum, how's the new iPad? Oh, I love it. I use it every day. What do you usually do on it? Oh, you know, read the news, play Sudoku, catch up with my friends. What's the last thing you did on it? Well, Dad and I are off on holiday. I would you an app. No. Google. How do you find out about that path? They pay us. By the way, I saw a couple of new books on the shelf. Where did those opened it? As if I need another lasagna recipe at my age. Time to refine my idea. We discovered many insights in that conversation to help us adjust our idea. It just goes to show, if you can get useful business information from Mum, you can get it from anyone. The Mum test.
Everybody understood? What does the mum test try to tell us? The mum test tries to tell us that we should be able to start looking at problems and start scouting the problems because we want to solve it, not because हम लोग को थोड़ा butter चाहिए अपने खुद के startup idea पे. If you are able to get answers from your mother, then it will become very easy for you to launch your startup venture. Yeah, okay. एक second दे मुझे. Okay, so understand one thing. If you want to launch your entrepreneur venture, start looking at insights. Second, इसमें आपको मिला insights. वो सिर्फ अपने आइडिया के बारे में बात करेगी. इसमें उसने सिर्फ insights के बारे में बात की. And that is exactly what you people You want entrepreneurs to start listening. तो बाहर जाओ, इधर insights मिलेंगे, इतने opportunities मिलेंगे that all is जब प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने के लिए तब आइडियाज आते जाते रहेंगे। एक आइडिया चला छोड़ दो, दूसरा आइडिया पकड़ो, दूसरा आइडिया नहीं चला छोड़ दो, तीसरा आइडिया पकड़ो, वो नहीं चला चौथा आइडिया पकड़ो। पर आपको प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट से लॉयल्टी दिखाना है हमेशा। The moment you are able to show loyalty towards your problem statement, ultimately one of the ideas what you are working on will end up working. Trust me on that. Trust me on. मैंने भी अभी का entrepreneurial venture चालू किया था, तभी जो आइडिया से अभी मैं कर रहा हूँ वो बिल्कुल सेम नहीं है, पर प्रॉब्लम सेम वही का वही है। The idea is not to think about the idea is to think about the problem. Now what happens is, problem के दो रूप होते हैं। One is you can either solve a small problem for a large number of people. आप एक छोटा सा प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करो बड़े लोगों के लिए, या एक बड़ा प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करो छोटे लोगों के लिए, छोटे लोग मतलब small amount of people, or either solve a big problem for a big amount of people. सिर्फ 3 startup entrepreneurial ventures successful हो सकते हैं। When you solve entrepreneurial ventures, when you solve a problem for a small number of people, but you're solving a very big problem. If you're solving a big problem for a big number of people, great. Or if you end up solving a small problem for a large, that is also. But got it? So 3 में से अगर आप सॉल्व कर पाओगे ना तो खत्म, तो it will be very very easy. If you are not able to do that, then there is some problem, then there is some challenge. Everybody clear so far? अभी ये प्रॉब्लम ना क्या होता है पता है, आपके सब आइडियाज का, या जो भी आपको एक एंटरप्रेन्योरियल आइडिया आती है ना, उसका एक होता है व्हाट वी लाइक टू कॉल रिस्किएस्ट अजम्पशन। रिस्किएस्ट अजम्पशन वो चीज होती है जो एक लाइन आपका अज्यूम होता है, ऑन दैट बेसिस ऑफ दैट अजम्पशन, इफ दैट अजम्पशन इज रॉन्ग, देन आपका पूरा स्टार्टअप आइडिया फ्लॉप। आप जब भी कुछ चालू करते हो ना, तभी कुछ ना कुछ अज्यूम करते हो कि हाँ लोग मेरा ये प्रोडक्ट खरीदेंगे, वो अजम्पशन नहीं है, पर लोग मेरा ये प्रोडक्ट क्यों खरीदेंगे वो अज्यूम करते हैं। मैंने एक व्हाइट शर्ट पहना हो और जिसने बनाया होगा उसको ये सोच रहा होगा कि मेरा क्यों खरीदेंगे लोग, बिकॉज ऑफ व्हाटएवर एक्सपायर्ड रीजंस। What we want to do is we want to tell कि boss, why will people buy my product? And that why is an assumption. If we get that right, then it is sorted. If we get that wrong, then it doesn't work. When an idli sambar guy is selling idli sambar at Channi Road station या चर्च गेट स्टेशन के बाहर, वो जब इडली सांबार बेच रहा है, उसका ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं है कि वो इडली सांबार अगर अच्छा बनाएगा तो लोग पब्लिक आएंगे, नहीं, उसका ये है कि बस जब लोग ट्रेन से आते जाते हैं तभी उनको भूख लगता है, या लोग ट्रैवल करते टाइम खाना प्रेफर करते हैं फटाफट जल्दी वाला खाना। तो आप इडली सांबार कितना भी घटिया बनाओ, लोग आके खा के जाएंगे। पर आप अगर गलत जगह पे हो तो आप दुनिया का सबसे बढ़िया इडली सांबार बनाओ, लोग नहीं आएंगे। उबर का रिस्क असम्पशन ये है कि बस लोगों को बुरा लगता है जब उनको टाइम पे टैक्सी या रिक्शा नहीं मिलती। अगर लोगों को वो बुरा नहीं लगता तो उबर चलता ही नहीं, राइट? You have to believe on the human behavioral side of startup ideas or startup behaviors. If you are able to conquer that, if you are able to identify that, then you are able to win in the startup space. The riskiest assumption test tells us about What is that one assumption, what you are doing, why people will buy your product? Is that true or false? If that is false, then your startup flops. If it is true, your startup is successful. Everybody clear so far? Any questions? Actually, questions बाद में लेते हैं. अभी let's leave the last 5 minutes for questions. Now, when you are starting as an entrepreneur, as a career opportunity, and I'm going to speak about career opportunity, पहला 1000 दिन. How many, come on, in the chat, tell me, how many days is how many years is 1000 days? How many days is 1000 days? How many years is 1000 days? 3 साल तो? Correct? It's at least 3 years. Almost 3 plus years, right? 365 into 3 कितना होता है? Almost 2 years, 10 months, 2 years, 8 months. पहला 1000 दिन ना आपको स्टार्टअप में बहुत तकलीफ हो. पहला साल कैसे चला जाएगा आपको पता ही नहीं चलेगा. You will turn 21, 22, 23 and you'll think of starting an entrepreneurial venture. If you think of starting the पानीपुरी वाला business model या जो भी है, जिधर आप supply demand करोगे ना, वो अच्छा रहेगा, पर वो बहुत अच्छा नहीं रहेगा. It will be good, but it won't be great. Why would it be good? Because आपको पहला 1000 दिन कुछ struggle नहीं मानना पड़ेगा. पहले दिन से ही आपका customer आके आपका पानीपुरी खाएगा, laundry के लिए कपड़े देके जाएगा, नहीं हुआ तो बाल कटवाएगा, जो भी है. It will start from day one, but that is not the intent. The intent is to be Vijay Shekhar Sharma, and Vijay Shekhar Sharma for the first 3 years was struggling. And every entrepreneur will struggle in the first 3 years. Because वो क्या कर रहा है? वो trial and error कर रहा है. Problem छोड़ नहीं रहा है, trial and error कर रहा है. तो अगर आप में दम है, मेरे में दम था. मेरा first startup मैंने बहुत 10 करोड़ से ज्यादा amount को बेचा. Second startup fail हो गया. अभी third startup कर रहा हूँ जिसका value 80 crores है. और अभी तक मैं आंसर ढूंढ रहा हूँ. The reason why I'm telling you all this is very simple. The reason why I'm telling you why I'm running an 80 crore startup right now, just within 1 year. I started this company in February of 2021 and I've reached 80 crores in 10 months. The challenge is not about creating value of 80 crores. The challenge is कि बस मेरे को पता है पहले 3 साल बहुत रगड़ना. So if you're 23, if you're 24, you graduate, you attend a good school, learn about entrepreneurship, come to Atlas. I will be happy to teach you about entrepreneurship, right? Your first 3 years will only be dedicated towards struggling and ragudifying. After that is done, everything is fine. Your first 3 years, the investment of struggle, what you put in first 3 years will be good for the next 10 years. I was there, my friends were earning good salary while I was living on 5,000, 10,000 rupees a month. I will be able to scale. The last thing what I want to tell you is okay, सब चीजों का एक proper timing होता है. And I will show you a small little video about that timing.
Hello.
Yes, I think it's Omkar's network issue.
Yeah, can you all see my screen?
Yeah, now it is visible, Omkar.
Yes, sir.
मेरा network गिर गया.
I'm really excited to share with you some findings that really surprised me about what makes companies succeed the most, what factors actually matter the most for startup success. I believe that the startup organization is one of the greatest forms to make the world a better place. If you take a group of people with the right equity incentives and organize them in a startup, you can unlock human potential in a way never before possible. You get them to achieve unbelievable things. But if the startup organization is so great, why do so many fail? That's what I wanted to find out. I wanted to find out what actually matters most for startup success. And I wanted to try to be systematic about it, avoid some of my instincts and maybe misperceptions I have from so many companies I've seen over the years. I wanted to know this because I've been starting businesses since I was 12 years old, when I sold candy at the bus stop in junior high school, to high school when I made solar energy devices, to college when I made loudspeakers, and when I graduated from college, started software companies. And 20 years ago, I started Idea Lab, and in the last 20 years, we started more than 100 companies, many successes and many big failures. We learned a lot from those failures. So I tried to look across what factors accounted the most for company success and failure. So I looked at these 5. First, the idea. I used to think that the idea was everything. I named my company Idea Lab and how much I worship the aha moment when you first come up with the idea. But then over time, I came to think that maybe the team, the execution, adaptability, that mattered even more than the idea. I never thought I'd be quoting boxer Mike Tyson on the TED stage, but he once said, "Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face." And I think that's so true about business as well. So much about a team's execution is its ability to adapt to getting punched in the face by the customer. The customer is the true reality. And that's why I came to think that the team maybe was the most important thing. Then I started looking at the business model. Does the company have a very clear path generating customer revenues? That started rising to the top in my thinking about maybe what mattered most for success. Then I looked at the funding. Sometimes companies received intense amount of funding. Maybe that's the most important thing. And then, of course, the timing. Is the idea way too early and the world's not ready for it? Is it early, meaning you're in advance and you have to educate the world? Is it just right, or is it too late and there's already too many competitors? So I tried to look very carefully at these 5 factors across many companies. And I looked across all 100 Idea Lab companies and 100 non-Idea Lab companies to try and come up with something scientific about it. So first, on these Idea Lab companies, the top 5 companies, City Search, Cars Direct, GoTo, NetZero, Tickets.com, those all became billion-dollar successes. And the 5 companies on the bottom, Z.com, Insider Pages, My Life, Desktop Factory, People Inc., we all had high hopes for, but didn't succeed. So I tried to rank across all of those attributes how I felt those companies scored on each of those dimensions. And then for non-Idea Lab companies, I looked at wild successes like Airbnb and Instagram and Uber and YouTube and LinkedIn, and some failures. Webvan, Cosmo, Pets.com, Flues, and Friendster. The bottom companies had intense funding. They even had business models in some cases, but they didn't succeed. I tried to look at what factors actually counted the most for success and failure across all these companies, and the results really surprised me. The number one thing was timing. Timing accounted for 42% of the difference between success and failure. Team and execution came in second, and the idea, the differentiability of the idea, the unique idea, that actually came in third. Now, this isn't absolutely definitive. It's not to say that the idea isn't important. But it very much surprised me that the idea wasn't the most important thing. Sometimes it mattered more when it was actually timed. The last 2, business model and funding, made sense to me, actually. I think business model makes sense to be that low because you could start out without a business model and then add one later if your customers are demanding what you're creating. And funding, I think as well. If you're underfunded at first, but you're gaining traction, especially in today's age, it's very, very easy to get intense funding. So now let me give you some specific examples about each of these. So take a wild success like Airbnb, everybody knows about. Well, that company was famously passed on by many smart investors because people thought, no one's going to rent out a space in their home to a stranger. Of course, people proved that wrong. But one of the reasons it succeeded, aside from a good business model, a good idea, great execution, is the timing. That company came out right during the height of the recession when people really needed extra money. And that maybe helped people overcome their objection to renting out their own home to a stranger. Same thing with Uber. Uber came out, incredible company, incredible business model, great execution too, but the timing was so perfect for their need to get drivers into the system. Drivers were looking for extra money. It was very, very important. Some of our early successes, CitySearch came out when people needed web pages. GoTo.com, which we announced actually at TED in 1998, was when companies were looking for cost-effective ways to get traffic. We thought the idea was so great, but actually the timing was probably maybe more important. And then some of our failures. We started a company called Z.com. It was an online entertainment company. We were so excited about it. We raised enough money. We had a great business model. We'd even signed incredibly great Hollywood talent to join the company. But broadband penetration was too low in 1999, 2000. It was too hard to watch video content online. You had to put codecs in your browser and do all this stuff. And the company eventually went out of business in 2003. Just 2 years later, when the codec problem was solved by Adobe Flash, and when broadband penetration crossed 50% in America, YouTube was perfectly timed. Great idea, but unbelievable timing. And in fact, YouTube didn't even have a business model when it first started. It wasn't even it was certain that that would work out. But that was beautifully, beautifully timed. So what I would say in summary is execution definitely matters a lot. The idea matters a lot, but timing might matter even more. And the best way to really assess timing is to really look whether consumers are really ready for what you have to offer them, and to be really, really honest about it, not be in denial about any results that you see. Because if you have something you love, you want to push it forward, but you have to be very, very honest about that factor on timing. As I said earlier, I think startups can change the world and make the world a better place. I hope some of these insights can maybe help you have a slightly higher.
Yeah, so understand that timing is so important for any startup. So whenever you find a problem, आपको जब भी problem मिलेगा ना, एक question पूछो कि timing अच्छा है उसका या नहीं. ठीक है? कोविड के बाद तो बहुत सारे नए opportunities आए हैं. So start thinking about whether right now, December 2021 is a good time to solve some problem or not, and then follow my advice. So that is it from my side. I have a meeting which starts at 5 o'clock. So if you have any questions, we can dedicate the next 3 minutes for that. I'm leaving my email ID and my name, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Excuse me. Sorry, I've been keeping a little sick, but I hope this session was helpful for you. I hope this session opened a little bit of idea about entrepreneurship. I strongly recommend. वो जो 3 साल का बोला ना, उससे 2 साल आप हो सकते हैं. Come study with me. Yeah, that is it, Mohit, from my side. Sorry, I have a hard stop at 5 o'clock, so we can dedicate 3 minutes for question and answer.
Yeah, so Mezabin, if anything is there, any students are there for next 2-3 minutes. Yeah.
So I would request participants, if you have any questions, you can ask. You can write in the chat box as well. So there's a question in the chat box.
Made you doubt your own ability? A lot of times when people say no to your product, it hurts. It's like आपको अगर कभी बच्चा हुआ और कोई आके बोला कि अरे आपका बच्चा कितना बदसूरत है, imagine how much it would hurt, right? So it's similarly when you are looking at most of the times this helps. This really compromises on your ability, and it also compromises on your confidence. That's a true question. So the answer is yes. Sometimes I went home back and I'm like, क्यों मैंने अच्छा खासा salary वाला job छोड़ दिया, right? The salary was great, but I left it because I wanted to pursue. So these things come. How do I cope with it? Is that we need to ask, it's better to fail after experimenting it, after understanding it, than just giving it up so easily. Because when you'll be really old, you will really regret that you did not start up when the timing was right. Right? So yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for that question. What was the issue that made? So typically this, when people told me that my startup did not succeed. So yeah, I think that is it from my side. Mohit, we can connect later. Thank you so much for being such a great audience. I have a hard stop at 5 o'clock. I hope that I can interact with you. I'm sure that Mohit sir is going to get you all on campus very soon.
Yeah. That is the plan.
Will you please wait for a few minutes? We'll click a virtual photograph.
Yeah. Okay, we can do that quickly. Yes. And you can get connected with me. You can write me emails. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter. LinkedIn and Twitter is the fastest way to get connected. So
I would request all the participants to please turn on their cameras.
Sir, according to you, what is the definition of successful entrepreneur?
like in monetary terms, let this not all unicorn ka tamjam confuse you. All these are loss-making companies, and it's stupid to join these loss-making companies as employees. A successful entrepreneur is somebody who has been able to create wealth for people who believed in them earlier. Right? That is successful. Right? My early team, I paid them less salaries, but I've given them equity. If I make them successful, if I make them wealthier 5 years from now, I have become. That's my definition of successful. Now, what is your definition? It's that if an entrepreneur is able to create wealth for the people who believed in him at an early stage, then he's a successful entrepreneur. Okay, let's click the photo quickly.
Yes, sir. I would request once again to all the participants, please turn on their cameras. This is my just one more, sir. Just 2 minutes.
Sure, sure.
Yes, you can turn on. And there is a feedback form in the chat box. I would request all the participants to fill that feedback form.
Yeah, Omkar sir can leave now.
So there is a vote of thanks or as well. So will you please wait for a few seconds? I would
Yeah, I am
request
waiting
Aswati.
because I'm there. You can continue.
Okay, sir. Aswati, I will request Aswati to please take over.
Okay.
Thank you, Nazbeen. I would like to express my gratitude to all esteemed delegates of the webinar for their presence and contribution to make this webinar a great success, and to our honorable speaker, Mr. Omkar Pandharkame, to take out time from his busy schedule to grace the event. I would also thank Principal Vijeta Shetty for supporting us, and I would also thank Anupama Bali ma'am, Anuja Narvankar ma'am, and Lubina Gonsalves ma'am for guiding us. And thank you for all the ESL members who have taken efforts to make the webinar successful. And most hearty thanks to the students for attending the webinar. So thank you to all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Mohit, sir.
Yeah, so we are done with the workshop. Any doubts you have the email ID of Omkar sir. Additionally, anything is there regarding the courses which I talked about, you can definitely ask now if at all anything is there, because many of you are from TY also, as I discussed with Mezabin, and you have already written different exams also. So if you are interested, what you can do is I'm going to put down my number as well. Right. You can contact me on the below mentioned number. My name is Mohit Kelkar, and I am Associate Director with Atlas Celtic University. Right. You can also write to us on the following ID. Just a second. Yeah. So our admission process is already started, right? So whoever is looking forward to get into MBA, please do call on this number, do check our website, do apply, right? The process is already on. There are limited number of seats. So if you are looking forward to do your MBA, you are more than welcome. And again, any doubts you have, anything is there, you can contact on the below mentioned, above mentioned number. You can go on our website. You can also write an email to me or Omkar sir if you have anything about entrepreneurship. Right. Thanks a lot, Mezabin, for arranging this. Right. We are all looking forward to host you on campus shortly.
Sir.
Hello.
Sir, feedback form कभी बनेगा?
You can fill the feedback form now.
Mezabin ने वो already डाला हुआ है. Okay, Mezabin, I'll take your leave. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, looking forward to see you.
Yes, thank you so much.